So this is going to be a quick demo of how to use the BlazeMeter Auto Correlation plugin. So where do we start? We're not going to start with a script already made for us. So instead we are going to go and use the provided template. So once I've got the correlation plugin installed, all I have to do is go to templates, and I have a bunch of things that I can use here. I've got one called BlazeMeter Correlation Recorder. And once I have that, it's going to set me up with a bunch of nice stuff. Specifically, I'll have a thread group with a recording controller, and I will have the actual correlation recorder itself. This will look very similar to you if you've ever seen any of the other recorders in BlazeMeter. It's pretty much exactly the same, but it's got some kind of hidden benefits. So with that, without changing anything else, I am going to go ahead and start recording this. Note that I do need to be able to direct traffic through this proxy, because what's going to happen is that BlazeMeter is going to start a proxy, and we are going to send web traffic through that, and we need to be able to record it. So this is going to be on my local host, and I've got a port set here. So when I start this, BlazeMeter will also create for me a certificate, and we have to be able to trust that certificate. So I've already imported that into my browser, but in general, all we have to do is go to our browser, go to our settings, and import our certificate here, and make sure that our proxy settings are set to a manual proxy, and I'm setting everything through localhost with a port that matches what I'm using in BlazeMeter. Now, because that's true, everything that I do here will create a request that is captured in BlazeMeter. So I'm using a local WordPress site here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the admin panel. I've got very creative usernames and passwords. And what I want to do is I'm just going to go into check out my posts. So I've got a blog here, right? And I want to be able to edit this thing. I want to make sure that I can do it in an automated way using my performance tests. So I'm going to go and edit an existing post. So I've got something here that says this is totally a real blog about performance testing, and it is totally a real blog. I mean, it is totally a real blog. And I'm just going to save that update, because now I've reaffirmed myself that my blog is a totally real blog and everybody has to believe me. Now I'm going to log out of here, and that is my user flow. It's very simple. It's very concise, but even something like this can be really hard to make a performance test for. I'm going to show you how. So I've got this little dialog that comes up and says, hey, do you want me to start detecting dynamic values for you? And I'm going to say yes. And what is happening in the background right now is my test is actually running. And I'm going to get a little wizard that says, hey, 12 requests have failed. Do you want to generate suggestions to fix them? For the moment, I'm going to say no, just because I want to be able to show you like what we're actually getting out of this. So if I go and I look at this test, there may be a couple things I know that I need to change about this, because I know this application, and you probably will know an application if you're doing performance tests on it. But if I go and I run this, you can see I get a bunch of errors. And the reason I get a bunch of errors is because I did a login, right? I went and I logged in, I said, hey, I'm the admin, here's my password. And in the browser, the sessions are all handled by JavaScript, and stuff is happening where the browser goes, hey, every time I make a request, I'm going to fill in session tokens, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But I've got all of the old values recorded here. We need to correlate those. So I could go in and I say, okay, well, somewhere in here in this response data that I've got a ton of stuff from, I can find what I need to find and do what I need to do, but I don't want to have to do that. So instead, I'm going to go to my correlation recorder, and I'm going to go into this tab called correlation. Now, I said no before to say, hey, I don't want you to automatically correlate that for me. I actually do want it to automatically correlate for me, right? And I'm going to say automatic correlation, automatic comparison and variable detection. The other one here, existing correlation rules, this is for if you've already recorded and you've already saved the correlation rules that you found. And I have that template here, and I want to be able to use that. Basically saying that the work that I've done before using the automatic correlation recorder, I don't have to keep doing this process again. I've already got the rules. I can just bring them in and automatically correlate based on a previous recording that I did. So I'm kind of building up everything that I want to be able to do here. So with this, I get a suggestion of things that could be correlated. Not everything in here necessarily needs to be correlated. And if I actually just went through and said, yes, correlate everything, it's not going to work the way I want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, actually, don't correlate all of these. I'm going to turn them all off because I know that the ones that really matter are these session tokens. They're called nonces. So I'm going to do that one, and I'm going to do this one. Again, this is the kind of the part where I say, this is not like a silver bullet for everything. You're still going to have to know how your application works. You're still going to have to know kind of what needs to be correlated. You just don't need to know where it comes from, where it's going, because this is going to do that for you. So I'm going to say auto correlate. I'm going to get this little thing that says, hey, we've successfully added those correlations to your test plan. So, freaking sweet, that's awesome. Now, if I go and I look at my view results tree, which is where I see the results from the test, I see I've got a bunch of errors. Now let's run this test again. Now all the errors are gone. It's all green. That's literally what we're trying to do here. I've got a bunch of places where dynamic values need to go, and I've pulled them from the places where they are given to me by the server, and I'm giving them back to the server to prove that I'm still the same person. And just to kind of like open up some of these requests to see what we've actually done, we'll see we've got regular expression extractors that have been added into this request. It says, let's capture this variable. And where does it get used? Well, anywhere where that variable ends up being put into a request. I think we're going to find them in the headers in different places, but I'm not going to go and look for them because I don't really care where they show up as long as they are in the right place. Now, I mentioned before about the correlation rules that I have created and want to be able to save these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that suggestions panel again, and I'm going to say these two things I know that I need to correlate because I've gone through a couple of iterations of this. I know how this works. Next time I want to record something like this, I don't want to have to do this again. I want to use existing rules. So let's save these correlation rules. And so we export these into a format that lets us share them. Basically, I can save this template and I can give it to anybody on my team. I'm going to say, hey, next time we want to do an update, or we want to change something about testing that we're doing whatever, go and record a new script. But don't correlate everything by hand ever again. Just take the template that I have saved here, record it, and auto-correlate based on this template. That way they get the benefit of the work that I've already done. And it didn't even take me that much work anyway. That is exactly what we're doing here. And that's all I really wanted to show.